illegal to be poor in the United States. Here's what I mean. Nobody can afford a house. So we rent, right? Who's in charge of all the rent prices? A handful of companies. So what happens if you can't afford your rent? It goes way up. You could live in an RV. Just kidding, that's illegal. You could live in your car. Nope, also illegal. You could go live in a tent on the street. Nah, totally illegal. But tell me again how lucky I am to live here.
So the rent crisis in America, I shouldn't even be smiling talking about this. So now the rent crisis in America is becoming a major concern to a lot of people, and this is something that didn't just start. Even though I'm making this video for the very first time on this is something that has been an issue for a very, very long time. You see prices in rent increasing at a rapid rate. Some people are paying extraordinary amounts. All right, I see videos of people who their salary or their wages or the money they are paid is not even up to their rent, right? And it's very difficult for these kinds of people to survive in America right now.
We are in the bad place. No hate, no shade to this poor lady who's trying to do her job. But I looked this up. Apparently this is in Boston. What do you mean y'all are paying $3,600 for a 1-bedroom apartment? New England prices are already hell on earth, but y'all, it's that rough over there in Boston? $3,600 for a 1-bedroom apartment? That is a mortgage price for a big house in the burbs where I'm from. Are you joking? Like, I kid you not. For that much money, you could literally have a pool in your backyard in the suburbs of Philadelphia. You could probably buy acres of land somewhere down south too. But it's getting out of hand because, a lot of the time people have no choice but to live where they live. But $3,600 for an apartment.
How are rent increases being justified when wages aren't increasing? Minimum wage has been the same for 16 years. So in that sense, wages aren't increasing. And then we have inflation on top of that. So how is it justified for rent when someone is renewing their lease now the rent is so much more money? When in most cases, nothing has actually changed about the apartment or the unit that they're renting. Like nothing has actually changed. So what's actually the justification in raising the price? And I really don't believe there is one. I just think that people want more money and they see that, okay, well, we can raise the prices. Some people might have some, pushback. But if we just raise the prices and people go along with it, then it'll just be whatever it is. And that'll just be how it goes. And that is a crazy way of thinking. But again, how is that even justified when wages aren't increasing? And I don't even think it's them assuming that people are going to be making more and more money every year. I don't think that's the assumption that people have. It's just like, oh no, we're just going to make the rent more. Whoever can pay it can pay it. There probably will be some pushback, but we'll make it back. I feel like that's the mindset of the people who are actually renting out these properties. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't understand that. There's no justification in that. Wages aren't increasing and inflation is insane. And no new amenities are being added. The apartment, the unit, everything is still the same as it was in the last lease. So I don't understand. That has actually never made sense to me. I don't get it.
Imagine after 2.5 years of being homeless in the shelter, you finally find an apartment and you moved into this apartment in April. And as of January, you're threatened with eviction because management fucked up your lease. And so they're making it seem like I have to move out of here the end of January, when in reality, I moved into this apartment in April. We agreed on a 12-month lease, which means that doesn't even make sense. But then that's not even the kicker, y'all. Imagine you go to HRA and they tell you the portion you've been paying that you owe your landlord isn't even the amount you thought it would be. I've been paying this man more than I was supposed to. And the audacity of him to fix his lips and try to tell me he wants me to go to HRA to sign a new lease with him. I say that to say, y'all, I'm over it. Like, it's like struggle just don't stop. I'm tired. I say this to say, y'all, if y'all know any buildings that accept City Phelps vouchers, please help, because I'm basically either gonna end up having to get evicted or move out and go back to the shelter. I can't. It's not just me. I have an elderly mother. I can't take this shit. I really can't. Like, I need somebody to help me in some way. Please, like.
Once again, y'all, this is just a core millennial experience, like, for real. I really just want to know what happened to being able to rent with good credit. Not excellent, not superb. What happened to 700 or very close to 700 being acceptable to rent? Like, I've been looking for an apartment for a little over 2 weeks now. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, even a studio. I'm willing to live on the outskirts of Brooklyn, even in an area I've never lived in that I don't frequent, because I'm just like, boom, like, I can actually afford a 1 bedroom now. So I thought. I have 2 jobs, like, I can make things shake, and, you know, I'm just like, cool, like, I'm ready to live fully by myself. And the last 4 inquiries I've submitted for 1 bedroom apartments in my budget, but 2,000 or below, everybody wants a 730, 745 credit score now, all of a sudden. These are not new buildings. And if I was one of them content girlies that had all the screenshots, I would do all that. But I'm just so, like, again, the goalpost is always moving. What happened to 700? I'm very close to 700. Mind you, I paid off mad debt over the last 2 years. So, like, even though my credit score is now stagnant, it's good. But I guess not. You already want us to have a deposit first and last, or half the deposit first, last. So you already want me to just have $8,000 sitting around. And now everyone's saying 730, 745. Y'all, I don't know. I guess I'm looking for a roommate again. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. And nothing's wrong with having roommates. A lot of people have roommates. I don't care. I've had roommates, but I have a roommate right now. But I'm like, wow. Okay.
America, the biggest scammers of them all. The biggest fucking scammers of them all. It's just crazy. Like, when you talk about housing in America, we have so many homeless people and shit like that. And it's sad. But then it's like, when you look at the process to get a home, because sometimes people, they're homeless because of not being able to be approved. Not that they can't pay for their rent, but because they can't get approved for the places. Because places want 3 times the rent. Nigga, 3 times the rent? People barely... You know how you hear that saying, working to survive? That's like most of America. So if most of America is working to survive, and we surviving, the fuck make you think you need to put 3 times the rent as an expectation, or something that person needs to have? What do we know how this economy is? We know that these places are raising everything. Yeah, we got inflation like a mug, but we don't get raised in wage like that. Unless you're just going up and up, baby. The minimum wage is still like barely something you can survive on. People be making that shit fucking work, because that's not the only thing that they doing. You know? I'm just saying, like, this is why one of the reasons why we sick of this shit. We are fucking tired of this. America, what the fuck, bro?
There isn't one state in America where a full-time minimum wage job, 40 hours a week, can cover the cost of a 2-bedroom apartment. Not one. That fact alone should stop us in our tracks. Even states with relatively low costs of living, the math still doesn't work. And this isn't just about a modest 2-bedroom apartment. This is about parents and families who are forced into unsafe living conditions. How millions of Americans are on the brink of fully being homeless or collapse. Workers are juggling 2 to 3 jobs just to keep the lights on, and many Americans are skipping meals day to day to afford rent. And most young people are living with their parents. So not only is over 50% of your income being eaten up by rent, you now can't afford to eat, you can't afford healthcare, you can't afford transportation, literally everything else that makes basic living accessible. And on top of that, we are hitting record numbers of layoffs every single month, as well as record numbers of unemployment. A separate study found something just as alarming. 50% or more of Gen Z is already dipping into retirement funds to pay off debt or to pay rent, groceries, and survive. That number is astronomically higher than any other previous generation. I believe the millennial number was at 17%, and that was seen as crazy at the time. Imagine being 23 years old, pulling money from your retirement account that was supposed to be saved for when you're 65 because you simply cannot afford rent, student loans, groceries, and gas altogether. It's impossible. So many elders are telling young people to work harder to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, but they are. Like, they literally are, and it's impossible to survive anyways. Me, myself, if it weren't for the help of the TikTok community and my family, I would be on the streets. And this is coming from people who are highly educated as well. So imagine people who grew up in rural communities and didn't have access to the same resources and didn't go to higher education, college, bachelor's, master's, none of that. Imagine what the job market looks like for them. How do we even begin to fix this?
Fortunately, living in New York City means spending $1,700 without even leaving your apartment because rent is due and I have to go bring my rent check down. And I'm a teacher, so $1,700 is definitely not cheap, especially living alone. But unfortunately, that's the price that I have to pay if I want to live alone in New York City. And I do have a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom with a washer and dryer in it. So I'm like, okay, for the price that I'm paying, it's cheap in New York terms, but it's not cheap for me, especially because I'm paying off over $13,000 of credit card debt. Well, I used to be at over $13,000. Now I'm down to $5,000. And I'm also trying to save $10,000 for my mom on African safari when she retires. So my shameless plug is if you're trying to save money or pay off debt, then follow along. It's not like every month I'm scrounging up for the money because I have a very, very regimented system of how I pay for my rent. I get paid twice a month, so each time I get paid, I transfer $850 over to a separate savings account. So then by the time that it's time for me to pay my rent, I then transfer $1,700 back into my checking when I write out my check. And granted, sometimes it takes my landlord a few days to submit it, which is always kind of annoying to me, but usually they do it like the same day. It's Friday, so they may not get to it until Monday. That was my fault because sometimes I submit my rent late. Anyway, that's that. And here's Willow.
I am homeless living here in my car, even though I work often 50 to 60 hours every single week by doing food deliveries and grocery deliveries. I walk dogs and I pick up other gig work. It just isn't enough to afford rent, which is now $1,800 per month for a 1-bedroom apartment. And this is for most of America, and some states are even higher than that. So this is where I live. This is my little home, and And lately I have really been trying to focus on my health, and I've been buying these little salads here at Costco. I found them for a 4-pack for about $15. They come out to being a little less than $4 a salad, and they are delicious. Chicken, they come with everything. All of the ingredients are included. The chicken, the greens, the dressing, super good. I really like them. I think they're a good value. The deliveries have been really slow the past few weeks. I think people are just kind of broke with back to school and end of summer. You know, people spend a lot of money taking summer vacations, but I'm still being persistent, going out every day and trying my best. And today was a little bit better. The orders have been coming in. I'm hoping this weekend will be better. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful night.
Jesus, Christmas! But when did life become so unaffordable? Oh, Jesus. I remember back in the days when my mom and dad used to have a 3-bedroom apartment. You know what they paid? Oh, no. Let's take it back to the 80s, okay? When I was a young lad, I remember a 3-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn being $300. $300. And then we moved from there to like the better side of Brooklyn, because we're moving on up to the east side. And the apartment for 3 bedrooms was $600. After that, in the 90s, we went to Staten Island because my parents wanted a better environment for us. And that was like the country back then, right? My parents got a full house, 3 bedrooms, basement, backyard with a pool and everything, a deck for $800. Now, I understand inflation, it goes up, you know, every few years or whatever, but listen to me. How is a 1-bedroom apartment almost $2,000? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? It's insane. You can't even buy a house these days. Like, how is anybody supposed to live? Huh? Somebody's got to explain this to me. Something's got to give.
So honestly, I'm not going to come here and say that I have a perfect solution for this, because I don't. Alright, but what I would like to say is that one of the ways to ease this burden of the rental crisis, and honestly, like I said prior, this is not in any way downplaying the fact that prices have increased. In fact, that's one of the first things I said. In fact, that's even the essence of this video. But what I would suggest is that one of the ways to ease the burden of this rental crisis is prior or proper planning. I'm going to list, I think, 2 or 3 things that can be done. All right, the first thing, like I said, is proper planning. Now, I believe that rent is not an emergency. All right, everybody living in a building, everybody living in wherever you live, at some point you should know, like I said, you should know that 2 weeks from now I'm going to have to pay rent, a month from now I'm going to have to pay rent. All right, so there should be proper plan. Now, this doesn't actually solve the problem. What I'm saying is that it can help to ease the burden for you, because you can now plan on how to get the money available. All right, for some of you, number 2, you would have to get side hustles. You have to learn new skills. You have to serve more people. For some of you, you have to go into content creation. For some of you, you have to find ways to start a business and sell. I know somebody who works corporate, all right, and she has been working corporate for a very long time, but all of a sudden she just realized that, oh, you know what, this corporate is sustaining me, but I have to figure out how to create something. I have to figure out how to solve problems for people. All right, and recently what I've noticed is that what she does is that she now makes bags. She went to learn how to make bag, right? Even though she works corporate, she still works corporate, but now she has learned how to make bags, and now she's doing beautifully well. She's looking for ways, she's selling to clients. All right, she's selling to clients. She's making bags, beautiful bags, different colors, and selling to people in that same corporate jobs where she is. All right, she's selling to people around her friends. She's selling to people that have influence. She's selling through people that have influence. All right, and she's selling to church, in the church where she is. Do you understand? So you can look for side hustles. So the first thing I said was proper planning, and the second thing is to find side hustles, learn new skill. Your job alone may not be able to help you survive. Right? You might need to learn especially a higher value skill. For some of you, it might be sales. Some of you might be marketing. For some of you, it might be I don't know, I'm trying to think of something now. It might be content creation. For some of you, it might be digital marketing. It might be how to use AI. It might be AI agents. That's one of the things trending now. Alright, learn a higher value skill. I hope you learned something, a thing or two from this video. Till we see in the next time. Please, if you like to see more videos like this, please do well to leave a like and subscribe. Honestly, you'll be helping this channel a lot by just clicking on that subscribe button. And guess what? It's free. Sorry, I'm being cocky, I think. Is that the word? I don't know. But this is what I'm trying to say, alright? If you really like to see more videos like this on your feed, you like to be the first to know when we make our next video, please do well to leave a like, subscribe, share to your friends if you want to. Alright. I hope this video blessed you. For now, bye. See you in the next video.